The desert night press against her, forward operating base like a living thing. Inside the dimly lit command room, the air was thick with dust, diesel fumes, and the metallic bite of fear. The SEAL captain's voice cut through the heavy silence. Any combat? Pilots here? It wasn't a question he expected an answer to. This was a SEAL outpost, not an air wing base. His men were bleeding, exhausted, and running out of time. The enemy was regrouping beyond perimeter and without air support they wouldn't last a night. Then from the far corner of the room, a chair scraped against concrete. Every head turned. She rose to her feet. Mid-30s, dust-stained fatigues, an air force patch faded on her shoulder. Huh. Voice was calm, unwavering. I can fly. The room went silent, but not the kind of silence that believes, the kind that doubts. For 18 months, Captain Elena Torres had been invisible at this base. She worked maintenance, fixed radios, kept equipment running. The SEALs barely noticed her. When they did, it was dismissive glances, polite nods, nothing more. She wasn't part of their world. She didn't train with them, bleed with them, or carry the weight of their missions. To them, she was background. Noise, just another support staffer, keeping the gears turning while Real warriors fought. That night, Lieutenant Reeves had returned with his team. Their eyes haunted, their ammunition spent. They'd walked into an ambush that should have killed them all, now trapped at the FOB with the enemy closing in. They needed a miracle. The captain stood over a map table, his face carved with years of combat around him. His operator shifted uneasily, checking weapons, exchanging whispers. They all knew what was coming. Without air support, they were dead. Any combat pilots here? The captain asked again, his voice edged with desperation. Silence. Then Elena stood, one SEAL broad-shouldered with dirt still streaking his face, leaned forward. His tone carried equal parts disbelief and sarcasm. No offense, but you look like you should be fixing generators, not flying combat mission. The room gave a low, uneasy chuckle. Elena's gaze didn't waver. I don't look like anything. I am a combat pilot. You asked if there was one in the room. There is. Her words cut through, the laughter like a blade. The captain's eyes stayed on her, weighing, measuring. He wasn't a man swayed by bravado. He wanted proof. Where do you fly? He asked, his voice low, testing. A-10 Thunderbolt. The effect was immediate. Even the doubters fell quiet. Everyone in that room knew the name. The Warthog, the flying tank built to protect troops. On the ground, its GAU-8 Avenger cannon was legendary, a weapon so powerful it could shred armor and infantry alike. The SEALs shifted uncomfortably, their skepticism colliding with possibility. The captain stepped closer. You're telling me you can get that bird in the air? Here now. Elena nodded once. There's one on the strip, grounded but intact. I can bring her up. The room went quiet again, but this time the silence was different. It was calculation. One of the younger SEALs muttered, "She's not even flight suited. What's she going to do? Duct tape that bird together and hope?" The senior chief, scarred from years of deployment, spoke up. "Captain, we don't even know her name. For all we know, she's been changing batteries since she got here. You ready to bet our lives on that?" The captain's question came sharp and direct. "What's your call sign?" Elena's lips pressed into a faint line. "Valkyrie." The murmur that spread through the room was immediate. Call signs weren't chosen. They were owned. Valkyrie was not a name given lightly. But one SEAL wasn't convinced. He stepped forward, arms crossed. "Talks. Cheap. We've all heard people brag about what they've done. As he spoke those words, talks cheap. Elena's vision blurred. She wasn't in the command room anymore. She was back in Kandahar, Province 2019. The heat was suffocating, thick as cloth in her lungs. The smell of gunpowder and burning fuel choked her. Her A-10 screamed low over the valley, Tracy fire arcing up like angry red threads trying to pull her from the sky. Her radio crackled. Valkyrie, we've got 12 casualties. No backup. If you don't get here in 3 minutes, they're all dead. She'd felt the stick vibrate in her hands as she lined up the shot. The GAU-8 Avenger roared beneath her, a sound like the earth splitting open. Enemy positions evaporated in fire and dust. She'd saved 11 of them. 11 lives pulled from the jaws of death because she didn't hesitate. Elena blinked. The command room returned. The SEAL was still standing there, arms crossed, waiting for her answer. I flew 2 tours. In Afghanistan, over 60 close air support missions. I've flown through firestorms most people wouldn't walk through. I know what it's like to be on the ground, praying for air cover. I've been the voice that answered those calls. The room was silent now, not with doubt, with something heavier. The senior chief clenched his jaw, but said nothing. The captain finally nodded. That hog's yours. Then, so, the chief pressed one more time, lowering his voice. You really going to let her take that plane up? We've never flown with her. The captain turned sharply. Chief, if you've got a better pilot hidden somewhere, speak now. Otherwise, stand down. The chief fell silent. Elena stepped forward, passing through the circle of hardened operators. Some gave small nods as she passed. Others kept their eyes narrowed, but none spoke. As she neared the door, one SEAL muttered under his breath, Guess we'll see if she's all talk. Another, older and scarred, shook his head. Doesn't matter what she looks like. That hog gets airborne. We'll be the ones thanking her. They filed out into the desert night. The stars stretched wide and cold above them. On the far edge of the runway, illuminated by scattered floodlights, the A-10 sat in silence. Its paint was faded, its edges worn, but its presence was undeniable. Atlanta walked toward it, with purpose, neither too fast nor too slow. The SEALs followed, weapons slung, but ready, eyes scanning the desert. Beyond the perimeter, she climbed a ladder with practiced ease, settling into the cockpit. Her hands moved across the controls like a pianist, reacquainting herself with a beloved instrument. Below, the SEALs gathered, watching. The captain stepped closer to the nose of the plane. How long? 5 minutes, maybe less. She flipped the battery switch. The panel flickered. Dim. Light struggled to life. She tapped a gauge with her knuckle. The system hummed reluctantly. Come on, girl, wake up. One by one, the systems lit. The HUD flickered green. The radios crackled. She reached for the throttle. The right engine coughed violently, spitting smoke and dust into the air. It wheezed, faltered, then caught. The turbine spun into a steady roar. The second engine followed. The night air trembled with power on the ground. SEALs exchanged glances, surprise breaking through skepticism. The canopy lowered with a hiss. Elena's voice came cool and steady. Over the radio. Control, this is Valkyrie. Systems green, engines hot, preparing for taxi. The SEAL nearest the captain nearly dropped his radio. She wasn't lying. The captain allowed the ghost of a smirk to touch his lips. No, she wasn't. The 810 rumbled forward, wheels grinding against the cracked runway. The sound reverberated across the base. Soldiers emerged from the shadows to watch. 4 years, this Aircraft had sat forgotten. Now, under the hands of one determined pilot, it was alive again. Elena's breathing steadied. She felt the vibration beneath her, the raw, familiar rhythm of the hog. It was more than a machine. It was part of her. Her voice came over the radio. Valkyrie to ground. Let's go. Hunting. The SEALs on the tarmac stood, frozen for a moment. Then the captain spoke, his voice low, but carrying authority. Mount up. She's in the fight. The hog taxied down the strip, dust and heat rising in its wake. The doubt that had filled the room I was earlier began to fade. In its place grew something stronger. Faith. Hours later, after the valley burned and the SEALs escaped, through the kata she carved with fire, Elena landed the hog back at the FOB. The wheels kissed the runway with controlled precision. She climbed down, her flight suit smeared with soot, her face streaked with sweat, but her eyes were still steady. The SEAL captain walked forward. His boots echoed against the concrete. Every man present turned to watch. He stopped before her. No ceremony, no words of praise. He simply saluted. She returned it brief, crisp, equal in respect. Lieutenant Reeves approached, his voice raw. I don't think any of us can ever thank you. Enough. Elena shook her head slightly. Don't thank me. Just keep your heads down and stay sharp. That's what matters. The captain, who had been watching silently, finally spoke. His voice was low and deliberate. Tonight we learned something. Appearances don't matter. Doubt doesn't matter. What matters is action. And you, Valkyrie, prove it beyond any shadow of doubt. She nodded, letting the weight of that acknowledgement settle. Then she walked toward the hangar, helmet tucked under her arm, boots heavy against the gravel. The SEALs lingered, watching her go, changed forever by the pilot who answered a call no one thought could be answered. The captain remained where he was, still watching the hog shadow stretch across the runway. Finally, he exhaled and muttered to himself almost inaudibly, "She's one of us."